The Korean government has accepted nearly 400 Afghani refugees, and not everyone in the country is exactly happy about that. That's all coming up right now. What's up, guys? Fooch from Fooch TV. Just a quick channel update. We are almost at 1,000 subscribers, so thank you guys so much. If you haven't already and you do like this content, please go ahead and subscribe. I promise that's the only time that I'm going to be mentioning things like that at the beginning of videos. I have been working hard to create a schedule where I can have time to do everything that I want to have time. Before, anytime I had downtime, I was just picking up any activity that I knew I had to do without really organizing it. So that's why, certain things got priorities over others, and that's why making YouTube videos was not always the top of the priority, because it does take time and effort and a lot of research to get done. However, I'm trying a new system where I go ahead and plan the entire week in advance and fill up my free time with different activities. So now I do have YouTube video making on the schedule, so that hopefully that means I'll be a lot more active making videos. And yes, I will be working on part 3 of the drugs in Korea, aka part 2 of the burning sun. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into this story right here. I'll be reading a couple of lines taken from news articles, which you can go ahead and find in the description of this video. Also, I kind of talked about a similar topic last year, obviously not with these Afghani refugees coming to Korea, but refugees in general coming to Korea. So if you'd like to check out that video, that will be up in the corner. I think it's that corner. I hope it's that corner right up there. So let's just jump right into it. Korea completed the evacuation of Afghanis who supported its activities in their homeland, dubbed Operation Miracle, by airlifting a total of 390 people over a 3-day period. So as you can see, the government is taking full advantage of this situation and trying to spin it to make themselves look really good by calling it Operation Miracle, probably also to downplay the seriousness or the concerns that some people have with inviting these refugees into Korea. Of 427 Afghanis and their family members eligible for evacuation to South Korea as persons of special merits, 391 asked to be evacuated, while the rest of them, that's 36, chose to stay in their motherland, according to the South Korean Foreign Ministry. Also note here, they're kind of downplaying the situation by not calling them refugees. They're calling them persons of special merit. We'll talk about that in just a moment, why they're being called that. According to the ministry, 391 were initially airlifted from Kabul on 2 military aircraft on Wednesday and arrived in Islamabad. When their identifications were scrutinized once again during the stopover, the government discovered that one person was not on its evacuation list. So luckily they checked again, because apparently there was one stowaway. I don't know who that individual was, but they caught them. There were 391 on the plane. It turns out one guy was unaccounted for, or woman was accounted for, wasn't on the list. He got sent back. The first group of 377 was comprised of people from 76 families. Adults numbered 146 and minors 231. Among the minors, 110 are under the age of 6, according to the Ministry of Justice. So that's news to me. That's kind of good. I'm happy that at least a third of them are very, very young children. Another 231 are minors. I guess that includes people up to the age of 17, international age, possibly even 18, considering the age of adulthood in Korea is 19 years old. The international age is 19, so it's not clear if those some of those minors are 17 or 18, up to 17 or 18 years old. According to the ministry, all the evacuees will be quarantined at the Jincheon facility, not Incheon, but Jincheon facility for 2 weeks, according to the government's social distancing measures. After they're released from quarantine, they will stay at the facility for about 6 more weeks to prepare for settlement in Korea. The ministry will offer Korean language, culture, and law and order programs to help evacuees settle. Financial support will be decided later through discussions within the ministry. So they're probably going to be getting financial aid as well. The evacuees are translators, medical personnel, engineers, and staffers who have worked for years with the Korean embassy in Afghanistan, as well as Korean-led reconstruction efforts, including at hospitals, vocational training centers, and provincial reconstruction teams. The government made clear that they were entering the country as persons of special merit, not refugees, and were given short-term visas. Should they wish to stay, they will be given the option to switch to long-term F2 resident visas, which allow employment through a legal revision to grant F2 visas to persons of special merit. So what's going on here? Essentially, people do not like the word refugee, especially after a couple of years ago when about 500 Yemen refugees ended up on Jeju. People were not happy about that, and people in Korea feel that there's a COVID situation going on. The economy's not been great. Housing prices are out of control. There's an aging population. Korea has one of the lowest birth rates in the world. There are so many problems currently in Korea that need to be addressed, and they feel that those issues should be addressed first before we allow refugees in, especially refugees from the Middle East, considering there's a stereotype that people coming from the Middle East may be terrorists. So a lot of people are not liking this, especially that refugee title. They've seen what happened in the US. They especially have seen what happened in Europe, and they do not want that to happen in Korea as well. So the government is going out of its way to go ahead and say, hey, look, these are not refugees. These are people of special merit, which means that, or what the government says, that these are people that have helped the Korean government in Afghanistan through one way or the other. They've either worked with ambassadors or diplomats from Korea while working there. I don't know if that means they were doing photocopies or whatnot. They seem to be helping on construction projects related to, what Korea was building over there. And some examples were given, such as hospitals and whatnot. So Korea is saying, hey, look, these are not just random people, except that one guy that snuck on. These are not random people. These are people that have helped Korea and their families. And I think for the most part, the situation in Korea is a lot of Koreans say, or they think that, from a humanitarian aspect, it's really good. Korea received a lot of help after the Korean War and collecting a lot of international money from the 50s all the way to the 70s and 80s. And, Korea has received a lot of help, and this is their opportunity to give back. However, they're skeptical, or they're worried, they have the reservations, and I think that those reservations are correct. Korea is a very special country, similar to Japan in the sense that they are the safest countries in the world. You can go to a cafe, leave your laptop, cell phone, walk out, no matter how long you've been out, it will be there when you return. That is something that doesn't exist anywhere else in the world. As a male, you can also walk around at any time at night and not have anything happen to you. You won't get mugged. You won't get murdered. It's an extremely safe country, and we want to preserve that here. We want to preserve that. It's very special. We shouldn't be letting in a lot of foreigners that do come in. However, there are criminal background checks being done, at least for Westerners coming in, which kind of helps the problem. But this is a very, tight-knit, special, safe community, this country. And, when we're letting in people, especially people that are coming from a war-torn country that we don't know much about, I can completely understand the reservations, especially since refugees in Europe have, been causing crimes and have been conducting terrorist attacks. I'm not saying that everyone from this region are terrorists or are criminals. However, I think special care needs to be made when letting these people in. That's why the government has been doing things such as labeling them as people of special merit and, giving this the title of Operation Miracle. They say these people have helped the Korean government. We don't know what exactly they've done. We don't have any evidence of that. It's just we're going to have to take the government's word in good faith. Now, I also think that this is a political reason why Korea did this. The last part I want to mention, Major General William Taylor, Deputy Director for Regional Operations of the Joint Staff at the U.S. Department of Defense, thanked Korea for taking on refugees, saying, first of all, as we talked about the Republic of Korea's support to airlift, we obviously, as I said earlier, are extremely grateful for their contribution to increase our outflow. So there's some politics in here as well. I think Korea wants to give the U.S. a favor. I meant recently Korea was allowed, I don't know exactly what they were given permission of, but they were allowed to, I think, start not developing nuclear weapons, but some restrictions on what kind of weaponry that South Korea make was recently taken off those restrictions. So they are allowed to create now more advanced warfare, advanced weapons. So I think this might be either, to show good faith to the US that the Korea is still on their side, especially in times when Korea is right in the middle of a tug of war between China and the US. Obviously, South Korea has democracy and similar views to the US, capitalism and whatnot. However, how closely it's positioned to China, as well as the fact that Korea heavily relies on China for economic reasons. Anything that pisses off China or anything that's pro-US, I'm very happy with. It kind of shows that it kind of shows that South Korea, at least at the moment, is still on the US side, which of course I support in order to remain safe in this country from North Korea and from communism. So yeah, there you have it. I think a lot of people, they're not thrilled that this is happening. They understand it's a humanitarian thing, and for those reasons they're okay with it. However, for all the other reasons, all the potential dangers, all the money it's going to cost, people are a little bit worried and concerned about it, and I am as well. However, as the government said, that they will be people of special interest or special merit, people that have helped Korea. And I guess that's fair, assuming that it is true. At least we're not bringing in random people. They are people that have helped Korea. And I guess in that regard, we get to, humanitarian wise, we get to help some people. They were people that have been vetted before, allegedly, and have helped Korea. So that's okay. And it kind of makes the US happy in order for us to receive a favor from them in the future. I might add that the fact that they're getting F2 visas is a little bit crazy, in the sense that right now the Korean government is making it difficult for law-abiding and people who come here legally, legal residents of Korea, to get that visa. Essentially, that is what I like to call the freedom visa. It's a short to mid-term residency visa that allows you the freedom to work anywhere. Usually people who come here, they need to have a student visa or a work visa, which means you would need to be sponsored by a school or company. Getting the school visa, obviously it's easy as long as you have the money. However, getting a work visa is quite difficult. If you're a Westerner, essentially the easiest visa to get is the teaching visa, in which you are a slave to the academy or school that you work for. However, if you work hard and earn these points, and you can apply for this residency visa, which allows you to quit the school, you can leave your captor and you're allowed to work anywhere in the country. However, recently they are making that visa harder and harder to get. So I do think it's a little bit unfair that people that are working hard here, such as myself, that want to remain in Korea, it is becoming more difficult to get that visa, and these refugees coming in are just awarded it. I think that's a little bit unfair, but what can you do about it? It is what it is. I want to hear what you guys have to think about this situation. Do you think do you think it's good that South Korea let these refugees in? Are you against the idea of the refugees coming into Korea? Please let me know what you think in the comment section below. Again, if you like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. If you hated the video, you can give it a thumbs down. You can unsubscribe. You guys know what to do. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys next time.